Hi, Questers. Welcome back. Okay, so when I woke up this morning. There was a tweet notification, and I thought I would follow it up with a video. Unfortunately, when I was setting up to do the video, I couldn't find the tweet that I originally had the notification for. So we're going to go into Twitter right now, and we're going to take a look. That was regarding Strange New Worlds season 3. But when I punched in Star Trek Strange New World Season 3 and then click latest on Twitter, we get this from my friends over at Star Trek. Star Trek Strange New World Season 3 cancelled, replaced by a movie. Firstly, the original tweet I got was that they were gearing up to start production of Season 3. So they were ready to start filming, essentially, which was interesting, which is why I thought about making the video. But then when I opened up Twitter, I've done the search. I couldn't find the notification for some reason. It wasn't in my notification tab. So, right. I haven't seen this yet. I'll take a look at that after. I'll take a quick look to see what it is. Right. Okay. So so Jay did do a video. I wasn't sure until I saw that. Okay. So what was it? Season 3 has gone into production, but the reason for this debate still exists. There may be trouble ahead for Star Trek. I agree, there is trouble for Star Trek, but the problem is it's not the Star Trek that everyone wants, it's the Star Trek that they give us, right? So if I scroll down a bit more, we have Damn Your Eyes has tweeted Star Trek Strange New Worlds team gearing up to start production on season 3. Now, something like that is what I received the notification for. So, yeah, okay. IG in trading. Oh, well, that's just mad. I think let's get rid of that. Oh, no, leave it. I'll sort that. So I can sort all that stuff. Dennis Cox says Star Trek Strange New Worlds team gearing up to start production on season 3. So that's basically the same thing, right? It's the same thumbnail. So it's basically the same thing. They're all retweeting the same video by the looks of things. This is from the original video. Looks like it's from trekmovie.com. New Star Trek Strange New Worlds team gearing up to start production on season 3. Why is Lower Decks literally the best Star Trek? Well, up until the most recent season, I would agree with you, but the last season it seemed to be a bit too different to me. It didn't seem as fun to watch. I think they were trying to put more seriousness into it, kind of like what they did with Orville. New Horizons, I think it was called. Was the last season of the Orville was New Horizons, wasn't it? If I'm remembering correctly. They made Orville more serious when it was originally set up as a comedy, so it was more on the comedy parody side of it, but it was a good show. Chris B, Star Trek Enterprise. By the time season 3 came along, they finally found their footing with respect to laying the historical groundwork for what would be Discovery. No. I don't believe that because Discovery has nothing to do with actual Trek, in my opinion. Don't hate me for that, but I'm just basically saying the truth. I mean, Discovery was not Star Trek. Discovery is Discovery. Strange New Worlds and the original series. Well, that's the thing. The original series is old enough to have sorted itself out. The original series, laid the footwork for the movies and also TNG, whereas TNG had laid the footwork for DS9 and Voyager. Essentially, there isn't anything that set the lay of the land for all the groundwork for Discovery at all, or Strange New Worlds. Strange New Worlds is actually supposed to follow the original unaired pilot Cage for the TOS series. So it's got nothing to do with canon. They tried to change the canon, and the problem with that, then trying to change the canon, is if they change, they change the time frame. So they moved the time ahead, which means that the characters wouldn't be the same, right? Kirk would have been born the same time as he was for TOS, but it would have been earlier technology because um, you have to bear in mind that by changing the time, but changing the timeline in a way where so that they could make it fit with reality, that was their mistake because it wasn't meant to fit with reality. I mean, yes, okay, show what the 90s there was supposed to be a war in the Star Trek timeline. So what? It doesn't make a difference. By changing it and making things happen at a different date, you completely mess up the timeline. Completely. Strangely, Worlds should be actually set further in the future, which means that Pike should not be in command of the Enterprise, and Kirk probably not either. So by shifting the timelines, it just doesn't make sense because the technology for that that Starfleet used, or that was used to create the first warp drive, that was created as a result of the wars. So you can't have the progression of the technology. If you want to look at it in realistic way, right? Out of all the wars we've always had technological advancements, right? So technology always evolves through conflict or competition. That's what I've always thought. That's what I always believe, and I think it's 100% true. Without conflict or competition, there's no way to advance technology. I mean, look, between World War One and World War Two, look at the difference in aircraft, and that was over what, 20 years, 30 years. So we went from single engine biplanes to long range bombers capable of carrying tons upon tons of bombs. And I hate to say it, but warfare and competition are pretty much the main reason that we have technological advancements. But I digress. The thing is, if I go back to, let's go back to Twitter and carry on with this, because this is because I think it's interesting that people are saying this, but I want to go back to the first tweet, the top of the list with Sidetrek. I'm going to watch this video. I'll tell you what, I'll watch this video during this whilst I'm recording this. But the interesting thing is, if it's replaced by a movie, that would actually make sense. If they're not going to make any more Strange New Worlds after this, then making it season 3 is not the right way to do it. But if it's replaced by a movie, what's the only way that they can end Strange New Worlds? There's only one way, right? By Pike relinquishing command of the Enterprise to Kirk. That's the only way it can end. And if they do it in a season, if they bring out season 3, then they can't do that. But if it's a movie, they can shift in the timeline because people will get confused in season 3 if they move it further along the timeline. So what we need to happen in the movie is Pike needs to have his accident, right? So we need to lose a lot of cadets. We need to have the incident that put Pike in the chair, right? And then by the end of the movie, we will have a new looking Enterprise, maybe looking more TOS, kind of like what they did in Picard season 3. That would be great. And also Pike handing the reins over to Kirk. That makes sense. But I'm going to do this. Let's do this. I'm going to watch this video. Right, so yeah, I'm going to watch that video, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it so you guys can see it as well. I think. Stop sharing that. Present, share screen. Strange New Worlds season 3. Right, yes, I want audio. I want to turn it down a bit. Hopefully, you guys will still be able to hear it. Let's take a quick peek. Right, here we go. So I've got that video keyed up. Let's watch this. It's 15 minutes long, so this is going to be a little bit longer video as a result. But let's have a look.
The third season of Star Trek Strange New Worlds is actually at risk of being cancelled? What madness is this? But these are the honest conversations that have happened in the management halls of Paramount and CBS Studios. And I've got a source that was involved in those conversations.
I hope there's no echo.
To SciTrek, your sci-fi TV and movie channel.
I do like Jay. I mean, they do some really good stuff. And they do keep us up to date.
So I'm going to say, look, this is not them actually planning to do this. This is just them talking about it and like Star Trek Strange New Worlds. I really, really hope they don't follow through with this.
Okay, I just switched over to StreamYards to check it, and
it's a show
it
that I
seemed
actually
to
really
have
even though there are certain episodes I'm not so keen on. I would actually be genuinely gutted if these conversations turned into more and the Strange New Worlds did get cancelled. Now, there's a lot to unpack here and a lot to get through. So first of all, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the source that I've been speaking to. Now, this is a source that I've got information from in the past through a third party, but I've never actually been able to speak to them directly myself. This changed over the weekend, and I was able to have quite a long conversation with them. I have been able to confirm that they are who they say they are. Actually, it was incredibly easy to do that, and that they actually are in the position they say they are to know this information. I cannot say more than that, but I will say that if I was able to give you the name, you would be able to check this for yourself, i.e. who they are, blah, 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 very, very easily. I can't say more than that. So let's go back to Strange New Worlds Season 3. Now, this was this close to actually begin filming before the strikes basically shut everything down. Akiva Goldsman actually at an MIT event even said mistakenly that filming had started. It hadn't, but never mind. It was that close though. I mean, they were talking days until filming was supposed to start when it was actually decided to put it on pause thanks to the strikes.
Well, I suppose in a way she's right that they could start the production process by sorting the CGI out, maybe doing, getting the CGI set up ready so that when the actors come along, they can just get into it and get cracking on it, which would make sense. And I hope that more studios would have done that because, during the WGA strike, they couldn't write. During the SAG strike, they couldn't act. So there was nothing there to stop people from setting up the CGI effects, doing the sets. If they wanted to change some sets, then they can do it. Right? That all the backs. I'm trying to think of the word. I can't think of it for some reason. All the background stuff, for lack of a better word, all the background stuff can be done. It's just the acting. It's just the acting and the writing that can't be done, right? So they can do that because they'll have an idea of what's going to happen. And if they laying out a plan for the writers to follow, that is a smart way to do it. But the problem is, I don't think they're willing to do that because at the end of the day, Kurtzman has his ideas, and Paramount can't do anything about that because Kurtzman has his claws into it essentially. It was a secret hideout. But if Terry Matalis could be involved in more, like he was with Picard season 3, it'll be good either way, whether it's a movie or a series. But let's carry on with this video and get over it. It is a little bit long.
So if it was so close, the development work is done, all the sets are built, and actually remembering season 2 ended on a massive cliffhanger,
Okay, what I'll do from this point, I'll watch the video. I don't want this one to be too long. This one's 15 minutes long already, so I don't want to carry on too long. So I'm going to pause here, and then I'm going to watch the video, and then okay. So I'm about halfway through the video. Now he's made a few good points, but I'll link this video in the description below so that you can take a look if you choose. Jay's perfectly right. I mean, Paramount are in debt at $15 billion. The only way they can get out of that is to sell, essentially, and there's no guarantee that they'll sell it for enough to pay the debt, right? Because the debt won't transfer with the brand, would it? So, and I saw things. I saw that they were talking about the Warner Brothers going on to buy Paramount, and they have plans or set up a deal with Netflix. So in future, we may get more Star Trek, but it will be on Netflix most likely. So the Warner Brothers has shown an interest in purchasing Paramount Plus movie studios, essentially, not the streaming service. But I mean, will that come with the purchase of the studios? I don't know. But if I'm understanding it correctly, then that's how it will work. They will buy Paramount Plus outright. Because I mean, the studios is Paramount Plus, right? Everything that they make, like Paramount Studios, is going on Paramount Plus, essentially. But the issue is with Secret Hideout with Kurtzman, because he made Star Trek Discovery using influences from JJ Trek, so the 2009 Star Trek, which, although and I enjoyed them, I enjoyed that trilogy, and I would like to see a fourth one, but I want them to actually explain that they are not canon. They are not actual Star Trek canon. Because, like I've said earlier on in this video, the timeline has been adjusted, which means the technology should be either earlier or later. Now, I would say later because, like I also said earlier, technology advances quicker with conflict and competition. So, unless an alien ship, maybe a Klingon ship would have crashed or something, an alien ship would have crashed, then maybe they wouldn't even have had warp drive for hundreds more years beyond the original timeline, if that makes sense. But I'm going to pause this in a minute and carry on watching the video, and I will be back shortly after. But he mentioned about stepping on the original series, and he's absolutely right. Discovery, Strange New Worlds, they have nothing to do with the original Trek, because they can't even say that Enterprise is leading into this, because Enterprise was set at the original timeline, right? So Enterprise would have led directly into Cage, which would have led into TOS, and then it made sense. The Strange New Worlds and Discovery timeline does not make sense at all. I mean, if you're a Trekkie, you'll understand what I'm talking about. And I know that some people will hit the thumbs down because they won't like the fact that I'm saying bad things about New Trek. But don't get me wrong, I enjoyed Discovery, but I don't see it as Star Trek. I don't see it as a Trekkie. I see it as a sci-fi fan. So, like I've said in previous videos, I believe that, in my opinion, Discovery and Strange New Worlds, they're not Star Trek. They are generic sci-fi shows. Because they're essentially trying to reboot the franchise with Discovery and Strange New Worlds, but it's not worked. They did it in completely the wrong way, and they fucked up royally. I'm just saying. I mean, a hardcore Trekkie probably will not even bother, would never watch any of the newer shows. They wouldn't. They would probably have enjoyed the 2009 Star Trek trilogy, but they wouldn't have. They wouldn't have liked it as Trek. They might have enjoyed it, but they know it's not Trek, so they will. They would have, kicked up a fuss, and they would have been angry. Same with Discovery and Strange New Worlds. Trek fans, real Trek fans, were furious because they've adjusted the timeline and they completely ignored canon, and they've retconned aliens that were fully established already. The Gorn, or as I like to call them, the Magorn, because they're kind of like the Magog from Andromeda, where they bite you and they lay eggs in you. I used to think of them more like the Xenomorphs from Aliens, but they're not. Because the aliens don't bite you and implant multiple eggs, do they? Whereas the Gorn seem to be able to do what the Magog do. So they completely screwed that up. It's like someone watched Andromeda, liked it, saw it was created by the same guy, and then just thought, well, we'll use this as Star Trek. But it's not Star Trek. It's Andromeda, essentially. I'm just saying. And the Klingons, they're definitely influenced because of Kurtzman's work on the 2009 Star Treks, because they do have that appearance. I like the ones in Strange New Worlds. They do look better, but they still look wrong. They're still not the same, right? They're still different. But that's acceptable. Oh, I'm sorry. Have a drink. It's perfectly acceptable that they look different, because the Klingons do change appearance through the entire franchise anyway. Most of the aliens do. Even in the Next Generation, the Ferengi looked different. The Romulans were made to look different. So it's not uncommon or unheard of in Star Trek for a race to change its appearance now and then. But what they don't do is they don't tend to put multiple types of the same species in. So, I mean, in Strange New Worlds, they should have some smooth heads. Even in Discovery, they should have some smooth heads if they wanted to have a link to Enterprise or even TOS. But they didn't. So they got no link to any Star Trek that came before Discovery, or 2009, I should say, which is frustrating and really pisses me off, because they said, oh, it is going to be a canon show. And then when you get it, it's like, this is not canon. This has nothing to do with canon. This is not Star Trek. So I'm going to watch some more of this video, and I'll be back once I've seen some more. I may finish the video. I may stop and have another rant about it. But I'm not having a rant about Jay. Jay is great. He does some really good work. He's got some great sources, and his information is 99.999999% true. There's that rarest thing. It's like antiseptics or disinfectants. They kill 99.9999% of germs, but it's that 0.00001% that will kill you, if that makes sense. So, okay, let's do this. Let's pause. I'm going to pause this, and I'll be back shortly. Okay, so he's brought up Star Trek Legacy. Now, I want to see Star Trek Legacy because Picard Season 3 was probably the most canon, I suppose you could say, show or even season that we had. But I don't think it's got so much to do with the fact that it was Picard or anything. It's because it's an era that we know a bit about, right? We know about the TNG era, so we're just beyond beyond. We're just beyond the TNG. So this is So with Picard, we were slightly past TNG, but it was still essentially the same era in the universe. So we knew kind of what the politics would be like. We knew, but they still had from season one from Picard full stop. We had the link to the 2009 Star Trek, which had influenced season 1 and 2, I believe, quite a bit. And I think Strange New Worlds was influenced by season 2 of Picard, where they went back in time, because obviously with the time traveling episodes. But for season 3 of Picard, it's probably the most canon Star Trek season we've had in New Trek. And that's what people want. We want 7 of 9 to be the captain of the Titan A, not the Enterprise G. That was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, there was a whole design that was put forward for the Enterprise G. It was not supposed. You don't change the name of a ship that has an A suffix, because the A means it's earned the recognition, right? It's earned the legacy of the Titan. Just like you wouldn't expect the Enterprise F to have been renamed the Titan B, would you? It wouldn't have happened. But that's essentially what they're saying can happen. They can change the name of any ship, really, randomly, just because they feel like it. No. So if they were to come out with Star Trek Legacy, they need to retcon the Enterprise G. They need to have it, because the only reason they've done that is because they believe that Star Trek is based around the Enterprise. It's not. It's not. It's based around the crew and the Federation. That's what it's based around. It's about the ideals, the morality of the Federation, and when they're challenged to the point where they break the Prime directives. Right. That is what Star Trek is. Most of the best episodes of Star Trek through the entire franchise has been the ones where their morality and their Prime directive have been challenged, and they've had to make the decision of whether they stay on the line or step over it. And in my opinion, they are the ones that make the best episodes. And obviously, the Mirror Universe ones, they make some of the best episodes. But Discovery kind of ruined the Mirror Universe for us, in my opinion. If you agree with me, just let me know down below. But yes, I love Jeri Ryan. She was a pin-up for Star Trek, right? It's kind of like to Paul, she was a pin-up for Enterprise. Every show had some sort of pin-up. For TOS, it probably would have been Uhura or someone like that, right? I'm talking about it from a male perspective. So the women, it'll probably be something that Kirk might be a pin-up, Pike might be a pin-up, whatever. But as a man, Jeri Ryan, to Paul, even Grace Park. It's Grace Park, wasn't it? It was Grace Park who played Sato. Yeah, even she was a pin-up, kind of. So the idea that that's the reason why we want it, I don't think that's true. It's good. There's one pin-up through the franchise that stands out more than the attractive women. So yes, I would watch it. I like the idea of having Jeri Ryan as 7 of 9, as Captain 7 of 9 of the Titan A. But at the same time, the ships are the pin-ups as well, right? It's kind of like the Lamborghini Countach or the Ferrari Testarossa. They're pin-up. They're pin-up cars. They're cars that I had on my wall, except for the Ferrari. I don't like Ferraris that much. Lamborghinis look awesome. I suppose it's a sci-fi influence in me because, I mean, to me, Lamborghinis, they look sci-fi. Ferraris just look like cars, essentially. Although, pardon me, although to me, a Ferrari is an Italian variation of a Lotus Elise or a Lotus Esprit Turbo. But I digress, obviously. This video is now half an hour long. So I'm going to pause this again and carry on watching and see what comes up. But I mean, I like the idea of having legacy. I want legacy. I definitely do want legacy, and I want 7 of 9. I want to see more of the crew members that I'm used to. I've seen. I want some more legacy characters. I want to see. I want to see where Paris is in this year now in this timeline or time frame. I want to see where Ensign Kim is. I mean, did he ever get promoted past Ensign? We don't know. Is he? He'd be a captain by now. I would have thought, for sure. I want to see Chakotay. I want to see legacy characters. I want to see more of Geordie LaForge. I want to see more Riker. I want to see what happens to Riker's daughter. Does she join Starfleet? But I mean, it's difficult for me to express my feelings when it comes to Star Trek. I mean, I do love Star Trek, but it's just I don't love new Trek, and people seem to criticize people that don't see new Trek as Star Trek. A lot of people would say that it's a toxic fandom. It's like, not really. It's not really toxic. It's argumentative, maybe, but I wouldn't say toxic. Because you've got the old fans versus the new fans, because new fans have only seen the new stuff. So they've only seen it from, say, Discovery onwards, which is not fair. They need to go back. They need to start watching it. They need to watch Cage. They need to watch TOS. Then they need to watch TNG and the movies. They need to watch DS9. They need to watch Voyager, and they need to watch Enterprise. And and when they've watched them, then they can judge us. Then they can say whether New Trek is Star Trek, if that makes sense. But like I've said, I enjoy the new stuff, but I don't really like it that much. I mean, if I liked it, I could rewatch it. With the original Trek, I can rewatch it over and over as many times as I like. I don't, but I can. But with new Trek, Star Trek, Strange New Worlds, Discovery, I can't. Even Lower Decks is pushing it, and Lower Decks is probably the best of the new Trek. Followed by Picard season 3, and also Prodigy. I liked Prodigy. I enjoyed Prodigy, but I think the main reason I enjoyed their Prodigy and Lower Decks is because you get the references and you get canon, and you also get legacy characters, right? And Lower Decks plays homage to stuff that's come before, so it makes sense to think of it that way. But when you look at Strange New Worlds, I mean, to be honest, I don't care if it gets cancelled or not. But if it does get a movie, then I want them to hand the reins over to Kirk, and then that's it. No more Strange New Worlds. No more, and no Kirk Trek after that. So we don't want you to replace TOS. We want to see the incident where Pike gets the radiation sickness and injuries that put him in the chair. We need to see him officially hand command of the Enterprise over to Kirk, and we need to see Enterprise redesigned in the same style as Picard season 3 with the New Jersey, I believe it was. That is the only way that they can finish it. If they choose not to, then they're making a big mistake, a huge mistake. People want to see new stuff. They don't want to see reworked old stuff like they are with Strange New Worlds. So, in my opinion, once Discovery is over and Strange New Worlds is over, then they should be retconned. They should still exist, but they should exist as a separate universe. If that makes sense. Does that make sense to me? Okay, yeah. So Jay makes some good points in that video. Like I said, I'll put the original video in the comment in the description below and let you, and so you can have a look. But he's saying about confusing that there's like 3, 4 timelines going on right now, and that there's conversations going on in the high ups at Paramount or CBS saying that there's too many timelines. It's confusing. It is confusing, but at the same time, the timelines are shifted. They're wrong. Technology should look different. It should be different. Even the designs of the ships could be very different from the original, from the prime timeline, if it shifted in a different way. Because design influence is down to individual people, right? So yes, the TOS ones were practical when they were quick to build, and cheap to build because time restraints and money, because they didn't have money, so they built the models themselves or whatever. But at the same time, if you look at it in a logical way, if the timeline shifts, then yes, the ships will be different. They'll be designed by different people in different eras, which means that they would look different. So they wouldn't technically be the same as the canon timeline or prime timeline, which to me is a big thing. I would prefer, a major timeline, prime timeline show. But from what I understand, with all the financial issues, they can't afford to make all of these shows. It's like, well, season 5 of Discovery has been announced as being the final season for well over a year now, right? Strange New Worlds season 3 either being cancelled or being a movie. I would go with the movie idea because they can hand the Enterprise over to Kirk with a new design and just have it looking TOS style. But they probably won't do that. They'll probably end up going with a shortened season, which is a shame. I would prefer the movie, the straight to streaming movie, to end the Strange New Worlds. And I don't want to see Star Trek Academy. I'm sorry, but it's just something I'm not interested in because it's Discovery, right? It's basically going to be a continuation of Discovery, but in the Academy. So we'll probably have Tilly and a few of the other cast from Discovery in it, which I'm not interested in. I mean, Tilly's lovely; she's a bubbly character and that, but the show itself is so bad when it comes to Star Trek that I'm not interested in Discovery. I'll watch season 5. I've watched every single one of them. I'll watch season 5, but I'll probably do reaction videos to it. I'll probably review it. But at the same time, I have no actual interest in the show. I'm not going to rewatch them. I mean, I think the first 2 episodes of season 1, I'll rewatch them because basically you put them together and it's a pretty decent generic sci-fi movie if you put them both together, right? And that makes sense. It should not have been, because there are people saying that Strange New Worlds has more of a link to Enterprise than TOS, but that's the problem. Enterprise and Strange New Worlds, they're different. They're so different. And if they've shifted the timeline like they have in the show, then Enterprise wouldn't have happened that way. It would have been, maybe earlier or later. It wouldn't have existed in the same time frame. Now, a lot of the time, the temporal Cold War stuff in Enterprise was bad. I wish they didn't do that. Because, I mean, it just changes things for the future. So every captain would know about the temporal Cold War at that point because Archer would have made sure, as an admiral, he would have probably briefed them on the temporal Cold War. So the temporal prime directive would have been established, way earlier than time travel, which is stupid because it shouldn't happen until time travel was created. Then the temporal prime directive would happen. And I know there were accidental time jumps and stuff, which is why they ended up with the temporal prime directive in the first place. But they could have done without it, right? So this is 40 minutes long already. I was only going to talk about the Twitter stuff, and now it's gone on further longer than that. But I didn't watch that video, so I thought I'll watch it whilst I made this video, and now I've got a 40-minute long video. So I'm not going to talk for too much longer. I don't want this to be. This is way longer than I was hoping it was going to be. So hopefully you guys will watch it and you like it. Yeah, it's to me, it's one of those things where okay if we get it, but I don't care if we don't. Basically, with Strange New World season 3, I just wish they would release season 5 of Discovery already, so we can get it over with. We've been waiting over a fucking year for it already, which is frustrating. And then when it comes out, people aren't going to watch it because they've had to wait too long. People have already forgotten all about it. Just saying. But I mean, the Academy show, I'm not interested. The Section 31 movie, yeah, okay. Michelle Yeoh, definitely want to see that. But I mean, what are the odds of that happening now? What are they? What are the odds of that happening? What are the odds of us getting the Section 31 Michelle Yeoh movie? You know what I would like them to do? I would like them to make a movie that would have been season 5 of Enterprise to lead into the creation of the Federation, and then have a series based around that time frame. So exploring proper Star Trek style. So just exploring the local area, local space. Not obviously not involving worlds that they visit in TOS, but maybe so how they make first contact with a lot of the Federation species. That's the sort of thing that I would like to see. As maybe a short series, mini series, something like that. Just something different to what we're getting, But I mean, once Strange New Worlds and Discovery are over, we can forget about them because they're not good. There were some great episodes. The best episode of Strange New Worlds, in my opinion, was the crossover episode with Lower Decks, with Boimler and Mariner coming back in time. That was a good episode. I enjoyed that. I loved it, actually. And then probably the retelling from Pike's perspective of what was it called? I can't remember the episode's name. Balance of Terror. So that was good. I can't remember what the Strange New Worlds episode was called, but I don't know. It was an interesting episode. It was a good episode to retell that. But the faith, do we have faith that we'll get good Star Trek back? I don't think we do. It's a wait and see kind of deal, I think, in my opinion. And yeah, it's just I don't know. It's one of those things. Just one of those things. And yeah, I hope if you're still watching this, I will end it there, I think. So I mean, if you're still watching this and you like my content, hit that thumbs up, give us that like, and subscribe if you haven't already, and select all in that notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming content. And as always, guys, stay safe, take care, and may the Schwartz be with you always.